This my last day, my last day, my last night, my last night. One life to live, one life to live. I'ma get it right, I'ma get it right. I'ma get it right, get it right. Yeah.
Hi guys, it's Brittanee-Noel. I'm here today to talk to you guys about breastfeeding and everything that I've learned in my 5.5 months, almost 6 months of doing this every day, all day, non-stop. So, disclaimer, I am not a lactation consultant. I am not a professional breastfeeder. I haven't gone to school for this. I'm just coming to you, me as a mother, trying to give advice to a new mom, someone who is already had a kid, wants to breastfeed, or is struggling to breastfeed, or just wants to see some nice little tips and tricks. Or if you're thinking about breastfeeding your kid that's on the way or that you haven't had yet, maybe this will make you decide to breastfeed them, or maybe it'll make you decide not to. But either way, I'm trying to inform you because these are things that I learned along the way, and some of the stuff I wish I knew before I started, or quicker after I did start. So anyway, let's get to this. I hope I don't forget anything. So I'm going to start off from the hospital and work my way all the way to now. So, and there was complications, things and such, which is another story for another time. But anyway, he ended up going to the NICU, and they were very concerned about him getting enough to eat and having enough wet diapers, having enough dirty diapers, you know, gaining weight and getting that intake. So what they did, which I really didn't want them to do, because from the start I said I was going to exclusively breastfeed and that was it. But anyway, because you know, it's NICU, it's their job to make the baby healthy, whatever, and they were just trying to do their job, they gave my son formula. And I was very upset about this, but it is what it is. We got past it. So they gave him this this Enfomil newborn formula, and basically what you do is shake it up really well, and they give you these tops, and the light blue one is the slow flow and the dark blue one is the fast flow, and you take off the top after you shake it up and put one on there. And then you just feed the baby like normal. Okay, there's no heating or anything like that. And I was really determined to breastfeed. So I got with the lactation consultant, and there's a lactation consultant. I think at pretty much every single hospital, but just make sure if your hospital provides a lactation consultant, or if you need to go see a lactation consultant, do it. And my mom kind of makes fun of me because, like, I was like gung-ho, ride or die about my lactation consultant, and I was so happy that she was there, and she really was a blessing and an amazing lactation consultant and a big help to me. So I'm gonna tell you why I was so gung-ho about her, and then I'm gonna tell you what she didn't tell me that I found out when I got home. So in the hospital, when you first get to your I don't remember the name of the room, whatever. When you first get to the room that you go to after you have the baby, they come in and they bring you a bunch of breastfeeding stuff. They bring you an electric pump, which is hospital grade, and it's I don't know what it's called. It's the yellow kind, the Molina, whatever. I'm pretty sure it's Molina. Anyway, we'll look it up and I'll put it in the description box. How about that? But they give you that, they give you a hand pump, they give you a bunch of other little goodies that you need to breastfeed your baby. So I'm gonna start off with the hand pump. Oh, it's Medela. M-E-D-E-L-A. That's the electric breast pump that they give you. So anyway, they gave me this little hand pump, and basically, you know, there's the part that goes on your breast. There's the hand pumpy part, and there's the part that catches the milk. And then also on here there's settings, so you can go from like minimum to maximum, and you basically hand pump. So they gave me that, and at first I was really discouraged because I could not get milk out to save my life. Like, I would pump every 2 hours on the 2 hours for 10 minutes each, and I couldn't get anything. And this happened for about a day and a half, I want to say. And then me and my sister, who was also a very big lifesaver, broke out this hand pump, and we also used our hands. So me and my sister are very, very close, y'all. We're 13 months apart. She's always by my side, I'm always by her side, so we're very, very close. So anyway, she helped me to get this little bit of milk that I needed to get. So the struggle was real. We used this little syringe, gave us also with all the breastfeeding stuff, and we got enough milk, and we put it in this little tube thing. Barely even like got that like bottom area filled with milk. Like, literally it was just scraping the bottom of this barrel. But that stuff came with what all they brought us in the thing. But I was really, really determined, because I thought that he was sick, and that was one of the reasons why he had to go to the NICU. So I really wanted to get that colostrum. The first milk that comes in is colostrum, and it's really thick, and it's really packed with a lot of antibodies and vitamins and things that your child needs. It's its first defense in the world, because your baby does not get shots right away when they come out of the womb. So the colostrum is its first defense. So I was really, really trying hard to get that colostrum so that I could get it to him down in the NICU and it could feed him. I was still breast pumping every 2 hours on the 2 hours, you know, for 10 minutes. Even though I really didn't want to. Like, it was really like a chore. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like, breastfeeding is a chore. Like, you have to stay consistent with it. If you don't stay consistent with it, you're gonna lose your milk supply, or you're not gonna get a milk supply. So especially in that first couple of days, couple of months, be consistent. So anyway, after I met up with the lactation consultant, and my son was already drinking out of these bottles with a fast flowing nipple, so he really didn't want to come and breastfeed. He was getting really frustrated trying to breastfeed. So what we did was we took the formula and we put it into one of these little bottles that they also gave us. And she took one of the bottle nipples like this and flipped it upside down, cut a hole in the top, and stuck a premature infant feeding tube down in the inside. And so what this would do down here, this green part would pick up the formula, and we would put this thing like over the nipple so that he would be on my breast breastfeeding, but you know, because I wasn't producing that much milk, it was literally just a very, very little bit was coming out. But we wanted him to get used to being on the breast and breastfeeding. So he was basically being faked out. He was drinking formula while on a nipple with this. So he was thinking that he was breastfeeding, but being fed formula. So another thing that we had to do, because he was so attached to the bottle nipple and attached to the pacifiers that they were giving him. They didn't give him one like this. They gave him one with like a medicine tube. It's the exact same thing. It just has a little hole where the medicine goes through. And they gave him that and he was hooked. So what we used is this thing. And it's called, I hope you guys can see that. It's called a nipple shield, basically. And it goes around your nipple, and he loved it. He started breastfeeding like it was nobody's business. Like, he latched on and he went to town and ate straight from my breast, and yeah, we didn't have any problems. So after we started using that, I asked her for two. Big thing, y'all. When you're at the hospital, you can ask them for extra stuff. Like, you can ask them, you get to take all your breastfeeding stuff home, so you can ask them for an extra hand pump. You can ask them for an extra, it's called a nipple shield. You can ask them for an extra nipple shield. You know, having two comes in handy, and those things are like $10-12. I'll list a link and a price and everything to buy them from the store down below, but they're not cheap. You know, like if you could get it for free at the hospital instead of having to go pay $10-12 for it, do it. Just ask them for it. You know, you already paid so much to have your baby and to be in the hospital. Why not ask for extra stuff? And also, if your baby is being formula fed, we just asked them for extra formula because at the time when I left the hospital, I still wasn't producing milk like that. So we asked them for extra formula, and they gave me like, I think it was 5 or 6 of these 4 container things, because I told them, I don't want to formula feed my baby, but I do want extra formula until my milk comes in so that he can still eat what he was used to eating, because like I said, they weren't very patient with me getting my milk in. And it might be a different story if your baby's not in the NICU, so, you know, just be patient. Alright, so let me tell you guys why I love my lactation consultant. One, she got me into a room to be able to stay with my son down in the NICU instead of up in the whatever room you go to after you have your baby, and your baby normally stays with you. My baby was in the NICU, so he couldn't stay in the regular room with me. He had to stay down in the NICU. So she helped me get into a room to be able to be down there with him so that breastfeeding would be easier for me and for him. So that was one reason why she was awesome. And 2, she came and she checked on me twice a day, every day. And sometimes she would spend like hours trying to help me breastfeed, which was really, really great. Anyway, she was awesome. And I'll tell you why she wasn't kind of awesome, because she kind of left some parts out of breastfeeding. And my mom, she laughs because she's like always calling me, oh, you new age mom, blah, 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 whatever. But my mom, when I got home, she was my saving grace, because like I just had no idea what was going to happen. I was caught off guard and shocked and scared and freaking out. So anyway, let me tell you about what happened when I got home. So I got home from the hospital. I was just kind of walking around my house, you know, getting reacclimated to being home and not being in the hospital. Kind of like, I'm really, really OCD, so I was putting away all the stuff from the hospital the first day that I got home, because I just don't like my house being a mess. But anyway, so I was putting all that stuff away while they had the baby or whatever. And I remember just getting really, really hot, and my breasts just felt really full and they were painful. And I'm not over exaggerating, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything for you guys. Like, my boobs were on fire and they were excruciatingly painful. Like, it was like giving birth all over again. So if you haven't given birth yet, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's painful. And if you have given birth, you know what I'm talking about. And so it was painful, really, really, really painful. And so I went to my mom, who was talking to my mother-in-law at the couch, and kind of tapped her, and I was like, can you come in the back room with me? And she was like, okay, sure. And so I told her, I was like, Mom, they hurt so bad. And she just starts cracking up, and I'm like, why are you laughing at me? And she's like, Brittanee, your milk came in, like, you're engorged. She was like, you have to get that stuff out, you need to go pump. And I was like, I just came back from pumping, because I was still pumping every 2 hours. And at the time, I was still using this little hand pump, because I have an electric pump, which I will show you guys in a little bit, that wasn't really pulling as hard as I needed it to pull. So I was still using the hand pump. And she was like, you didn't do enough. You have to keep going, or it's going to build up and it's going to hurt. And I was engorged. And you can get really sick from, you know, clogged milk ducts and things like that. So when my mom went in the back room with me, and she was very helpful and, like, basically helped me get the milk out without so many details, because you guys just don't need to know all that. But anyway, and then we called my husband back there, and he was a huge help too, and they were both kind of like helping me to get some of the milk out to relieve some of the pain. If you're ever engorged, ask your husband, ask your mother. Hot washcloths pushed on you, go take a hot shower, feed your baby. All those things help a lot. Just, you know, try and get the milk out. But I will give you a hint, do not take all the milk out, because if you empty your breast out fully, your mind's gonna say, oh, we gotta keep making that much milk. And the next time, let's say you feed every 2 hours, the next 2 hours, your breasts are gonna fill up just as much as they did the first time. So you do not want to fully empty out your breast if that's not how much milk your baby is actually drinking. So after that excruciatingly painful night, and I guess it kind of went on into the next morning as well, then I was good and I was set, and I was breastfeeding Zion every 3 hours, and we were still using the nipple shield. We actually used the nipple shield until he was about 2.5, almost 3 months old. And what I used to do to try and get him off the nipple shield, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. Everybody who I knew that breastfed was like, oh my God, I wish they had those when I was breastfeeding. Like, you're so lucky. You're not getting, you know, ravished, basically, while you're feeding your baby. You're so lucky that you have this thing. And in my head, I mean, it might have just been me. It probably is just me, because now that I go back and I think on it, like, I was breastfeeding. I was giving my baby the best nutrition that I possibly could, so I should have felt good about that. But, you know, me being a new mother and really wanting to just exclusively breastfeed my baby, the fact that I even had to use this nipple shield, and then I had to go through getting my milk in and stopping formula feeding him, I just felt like it was just a lot going on, and that, you know, I didn't feel like I was breastfeeding and I was a breastfeeding mom. So I was really trying to wean him off of using this thing. So every time we would breastfeed, I would start with this, and then after he got enough milk to kind of be satisfied but not be full, I would take it off and put him back on with no nipple shield, just regular. And I did that a couple of times, and then after a little while I started to do it without the nipple shield to start, and then I would try and put it on in the middle just to make sure he was getting enough milk. And one day he got mad at me for having it on, and I was like, oh yes, I'm so like excited, the day has finally come where he doesn't want this thing anymore. And I just felt like complete. But if you do use that, if you want to use that, there's nothing against that. Like, you're giving your baby the best nutrition that you possibly can. You're still breastfeeding them. There's no big deal about using that. I just didn't want to. And another reason I didn't want to use it was because I had to make sure that I carried that thing around everywhere with me to breastfeed him. So let's say I went to a restaurant. If I didn't have that thing with me, I couldn't breastfeed him, and I would have to take a bottle or go back home to breastfeed him. So I had to literally remember to carry around something else with me, which was kind of a pain. I used to breastfeed all the time, and I used to pump all the time. Like, it was literally like another baby. Like, I would breastfeed my son and then wait an hour, and then I would pump for 10 to 15 minutes, and then in another 2 hours, because my son was feeding every 3 hours, I was breastfeeding again, and then waiting an hour, and then pumping 10 to 15 minutes again. So it was literally like breastfeed, pump, breastfeed, pump, breastfeed, pump, all the time, all day, all night. I would wake up in the middle of the night and have to pump, wake up in the middle of the night and have to breastfeed, and it was torturous. So anyway, I'll show you guys the breast pump that I was using after my milk came in and I stopped using the hand pump. It's called Evenflo, and this is the pump itself. Looks like this. This is the power and the speed, and this is basically how strong the pump is. You can put batteries in the bottom to make it portable, or you can plug it in to the wall if you're at home, or plug it into your car charger. You know, just depends. And this is what the actual pump itself, my hand's not big enough. This is what the pump itself looks like. It's a 5-ounce bottle. This is the part that attaches to the pump. on the side that actually pumps the air. Yeah. So that's what it looks like. It came in this awesome little carrying bag, which has 4 of these bottles to store extra milk in. Let's say you go back to work and you need to pump while you're at work. You have storage bottles. It came with a freezer pack so that you can put your milk in to take home with you. You can put the freezer packs inside of it and then put it in the fridge while you're at work, and just bring it home with you, and your milk will stay cold the entire time and you don't have to worry about anything. So when I was doing all that pumping, I pumped a lot of milk, and a lot is probably an understatement. I have enough milk in my freezer even now, and we've been using some like when he goes to be babysat by his nana, or when I feed him food. Now that he's actually eating food, I put breast milk. I mix breast milk into it, so I've used some and I still have enough probably to feed him for like a whole year. So I kind of overdid it, but I was really scared that, because I heard stories like of people's milk supply just stopping, and I was really scared that my milk supply would just stop one day. So I was pumping a lot, and I would fill up these, which were also given to me by the hospital, and they're about 2.5, but if you fill it to the very top, it's 3 ounces, or yeah, 3 ounces of milk. And I would fill up about 2 or 3 of these, and then when my pumping days got to be a little more, I would fill up 2 to 3 5-ounce containers in one pump. Especially in the mornings, I was pumping like, I think the most I ever pumped in the morning, like after sleeping maybe 4 hours at night, the most I ever pumped in the morning was like 14 ounces, which is a lot. And so one day I was just like, you know what, I don't want to pump so much anymore. So I looked up online like how to wean my baby is what I looked up. I wasn't weaning my baby, I was weaning my electric baby, so that I didn't have to pump all the time. And basically what I did was, instead of pumping all the time, I just went kind of cold turkey, and I just toughed it out. I got engorged again. And I just had to tough it out and take it like a champ. And what I did was I didn't pump. So I would feed my baby every 3 hours like normal, you know, on each breast, and then instead of pumping after an hour, I skipped it. And I was really engorged, really full for a while, but after about 3 or 4 days, my body started to get with the flow, and it got a little bit better. And the thing that saved me while I wasn't pumping, because during letdown, if your baby's on one breast, obviously the other breast is going to leak as well. So the thing that helped me out a lot is this little guy, and it's called a milk saver. Yes. And you see there's like a hole where your breast will go into, and you just wear it on one side while your baby feeds on the other side, and it catches the milk, and you can go and pour it into one of these things, or a milk bag, which I will show you guys when I show you my huge milk stash. And this was actually given to me, which was like a saving grace, but it's from Milky's, and I will put a link to their website in it, because they have some pretty cool stuff for breastfeeding moms. And they actually have this ice tray thing that I wish I got, where you can pour an ounce of milk into, like, it's literally like an ice tray, into it, and freeze it, and then take it out and put the ounce strips into bags. And it's a lot more space saving than what I did, and I will show you guys what I did in just a minute. But yeah, so while I was weaning, I did that, and I still use this in the mornings, because sometimes in the mornings when I wake up, now that he sleeps through the night, and he's been sleeping through the night since about 4 months, maybe 4.5 months, but he's been sleeping through the night for a really long time. So I use this in the morning sometimes, because I'll be really engorged in the morning when he wakes up to eat. Not horribly, of course, but you know, more than what he actually eats. So, and when Zion was first born, I used to let Josh take the morning feeding because Zion used to eat at 12, 2, and 6, sometimes 5. And so Josh would take the 5 or 6 o'clock feeding, and what he would do was take the milk that I had either put in, take the milk that I either put in one of these and heat it up and give it to him, or he would take one of the frozen milks and heat it up and give it to him. And the bottles that we used was a tiny tippee bottle, which is said to be the bottle that is most like a nipple, because we weren't trying to have any nipple confusion going on. But I wanted to give my husband a chance to bond with him and feed him. And we used the zero flow nipple, so it was really, really slow, as if he was feeding off of the breast. And then because he spits up a lot, and I just think it's just what he does, because he's not, Zion spits up all the time. Every single time he eats, it doesn't matter what he eats. If he eats solid foods, if he eats breast milk, even when he was formula fed for this first 3 days, he spat up all the time. So I was thinking it was a gas issue at one point. I later found out that it's not a gas issue. That's what he does. He doesn't mind it at all. He will spit up and smile in your face like, haha, nothing happened. And it'll literally be like everywhere. So anyway, he's like a happy spitter. That's what his doctor called him, a happy spitter. So I went and I bought Dr.Brown bottles because I heard that it was better for air getting into his stomach. I was thinking that he was getting too much air in his stomach and that was the problem. It turns out it wasn't the problem, but anyway, I did like these bottles too, because the tiny tippee bottles, sometimes Zion would suck so hard that the nipple would collapse. I'll show you. That the nipple would literally collapse into the bottle like this, and we would have to flip it upside down and kind of wave it or pull it, and it would come out, and then he could start drinking again. But when that happened, if you stop Zion from eating before he's ready to stop eating, he gets really, really upset and starts freaking out and crying, and you just don't want to see it. So what I also love about these bottles is that the nipple does not collapse, and that was awesome. So anyway, this was the first one that I bought, and they're really not that expensive, like at least the singular ones. It was like $6, maybe 5 something. And I hadn't found any with the zero flow nipple, so we got the 1 flow nipple. And it just looks like this. This is the tube that's supposed to take supposed to take the air back up and out so that the baby doesn't swallow a bunch of air. It's connected to this piece. And I mean, I think it worked. Zion still spat up, but he does all the time. So maybe if your baby is getting too much air, try these. I like them a lot, but my baby just likes to spit up. Maybe your baby just spits up too. But anyway, after Zion got bigger, and because this is only a 4-ounce bottle, after he got bigger and he started drinking like 5 and 6 ounces at a time, we had to invest in a bigger bottle. And this one was only like $6 or $7. It's really not that much. And I just bought one because he wasn't drinking out of the bottle like that. It's exactly the same as that one. One because he really wasn't drinking. He really wasn't drinking out of the bottle like that at the time. Only when he went to his nana's for like a couple of hours, or if Josh wanted to feed him. And most of the time he was on my breast. And now, since what? Oh, I guess 4 months or 3.5 months, he doesn't get the bottle. The only time he'll get the bottle, I'll say maybe he gets a bottle once, twice a month. He really just doesn't get a bottle like that. He sleeps through the night, so Josh doesn't have to wake up and feed him in the morning anymore. Because remember, I was feeding him at 12 and 2, and so that I could get a little bit of sleep, Josh would feed him at 5 or 6, depending on what time he would wake up. But now he sleeps he goes to bed at 8:30 on the dot. He's on his schedule like a champ. I keep him on his schedule like a champ, so if you want me to talk about baby schedules, comment below, and I'll talk about that in another video. But he's on his schedule. He goes down at 8:30. He wakes up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock to eat again in the morning. So he sleeps from 8:30 till 7:30 or 8 in the morning, which is awesome. He's not even 6 months yet, and he sleeps through the night, which is yes, sleep is just I kind of forgot what sleep was like for a little bit, but I remember what it's like now, and I'm so glad that it's back. When it happens that he sleeps through the night, he only gets a bottle if he's not with me, or if I'm not around. Say I go to the gym and it's his time to eat, Josh will feed him with a bottle. But normally I breastfeed before I go to the gym, and he eats every 4 hours now, so I'm not at the gym for 4 hours. So there's plenty of time for me to go to the gym and get back and him not have to feed him. Okay, so this is the deep freezer that I was talking to y'all about. I don't know how to pronounce it, but there it is. Yeah, so inside is the endless milk supply that I was telling you guys about, and this isn't even as much as what was in here before, because we used some. But anyway, when I first had Zion and I was pumping, I was using freezer bags like this, and I was filling it up, some with 90 ounces, some with 90 milliliters, and some with like 100. And then I moved on to bigger things, and I got these freezer bags, and I filled them up with like 21 ounces, which was kind of ridiculous, because then I thought about, like, this might feed him for like half of a day, but when you unfreeze your milk, it only lasts for about an hour or 2 hours, it depends. Sometimes 24 hours if you put it in the fridge. So then I went back to making them into 6-ounce bags. So this would be like one feeding, unfrozen. But yeah, and I'm OCD, so I made the Sharpies in different colors for the different months, so that it'd be easier to identify. And I tried to freeze everything flat so that I could stack them a lot easier. And there's about like a year's worth of food in here for him. And like I said, it's a deep freezer, so it goes below 0. So all this stuff can last a year from the date that it's marked in here. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it really, really helped you. I hope it gave you some insight, maybe some things that you didn't know. Don't forget to subscribe. Like the video, give it a thumbs up if you thought it was good. Give me comments, y'all. I love to hear your feedback. Ian. Hi, baby. Hi, big butt. Octonauts. I'm an Octonauts fiend.
This my last day, my last day, my last night, my last night. One life to live, one life to live. I'ma get it right, get it right. I'ma get it right, get it right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This my last day, my last day, my last night, my last night. One life to live, one life to live. I'ma get it right, get it right. I'ma get it right, get it right. Yeah. I sometimes ask myself, can you go back to the way you were living? Prior to asking for forgiveness, engage in a sinful business. No care in the world, just some irrational decisions. Like my choices don't carry weight. Who could I be kidding? I'm a married man with a wife and a son, and I do all I can to live my life like the son of God and man. No strife will be won. I keep peace in my heart, even though these times be getting hard. Turn the news on and see yet another mass shooting, but where we go wrong is the hate we keep brewing. A heart that hates is a heart that kills. A bad heart break, it's a heart he heals. If I make it to another day life I live, I'ma live my life right. That's a life that's real. This is my last day, my last day, my last night, my last night. One life to live, one life to live. I'ma get it right, get it right.